Hi, thought I'd catch up with you for a second and tell you why I love the name Ted so much. Now, you may think you already know, have it all figured out, but I promise you don't. First Ted that I knew, or Theodore, was my grandpop. And Grandpop Theodore was just the kind of man who made you smile and usually laugh out loud. He was such a character. What I remember about my Grandpop Theodore probably would seem a little unimportant to you, but it's for me the thing that made him who he was. One of those things is that he would sit at the kitchen table and he would have an entire loaf of profile bread because that's the kind of bread he needed to eat for a problem with sugar diabetes. And he'd dunk each piece of an entire loaf of profile bread in his coffee and polish his way through the entire loaf for breakfast every morning. That's what I remember. I also remember how he always smelled like Vitalis, which is what he used to slick his hair back. And I remember that every single time I saw him, he would give me a roll of peppermint lifesavers. And he'd tell me to go home with my money in my shoe. That's what we did in Brooklyn back in the day. I just miss my grandpa because he would tell me stories, and in his love for me, he would say things that some of you might find a little unusual, like, when you get older, I'm going to take you to Las Vegas and teach you how to gamble because you're my favorite granddaughter. I just love grandpa. Maybe I didn't need to know how to gamble, but I understood the sentiment behind it. My second Theodore is actually my uncle, who is Theodore Michael, so we just always called him Uncle Mike. But I have to tell you, just saying his name makes me want to smile because I have so many fond memories of him, especially from my childhood, because he was the younger brother of my mom. He was always the cool uncle, the one who was hip with it, knew all the stuff, knew all the styles, and he was the one to listen to and to watch. And also, being as bright as he is, he was one who I so wanted to be like. I remember him giving me trial interviews for Ivy League schools because he wanted me to do well. I remember him taking me on my very first date to Serendipity restaurant in Manhattan on the Upper East Side. I remember him taking me to see Airport, the movie, when it came out, just to hang out with me one day. And I just remember my uncle laughing and sharing things with me. And I've always just appreciated that about him. I just love my Uncle Mike. And my third Theodore, yes, is the one to whom I am betrothed. And I have to tell you something that's special about B. I prayed that God would give me a man with the ability to communicate. He didn't need to speak or talk as much as I do. Understand that. But I needed to have a man that I could hold a conversation with. A man who could hold his own in a conversation and not make me have to finish every sentence for him or every thought. And I just love that about my B. He is a great thinker and he's a great man of faith. And how unusual that God would bring him into my life with the name Ted. So I just want to let you know that there's nothing big or theological about that. But it's just to say that somehow God in his plan does some things that we perhaps would least expect, and that he would bring three Theodores to me who would be of such great importance and influence on my life is just an awesome thing. Another God thing.